It's on my birthday. They said, "You're too old to go viral now." I posted one clip, and the brand offered a global campaign. "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you." The familiar melody drifted through my daughter's spacious dining room as my grandson, Max, carried in a modest cake with 3 flickering candles, one for each decade after 30, a family tradition. 60 candles would have been a fire hazard, my son-in-law David joked earlier that evening. I smiled, trying to ignore the sting of his dismissive tone. As I leaned forward to blow out the candles, my phone pinged. A notification from TikTok. I'd been learning the platform for weeks, fascinated by women my age finding their voice. My daughter Rebecca sighed dramatically. "Mom, seriously? Can you put that away for 5 minutes? It's family time." I tucked my phone away, but not before catching my son-in-law's eye roll. "What are you even doing on there, Martha? Posting knitting tutorials?" The table erupted in laughter, all except Max, who at 13 was the only one who seemed to see me as more than just grandma. "Actually, I've been thinking of starting a channel about second acts in life," I said quietly, trying to keep my voice steady. "There are women my age with millions of followers." That's when Rebecca snorted, nearly choking on her wine. David patted her back, both of them barely containing their amusement. "Mom," she said, wiping tears of laughter, "you're 60 years old. You can barely attach a photo to an email. Let's be realistic. You're too old to go viral now. That ship has sailed." The table fell silent. Even the children seemed to sense the shift in atmosphere. My birthday wish died unspoken as I forced a smile. "You're probably right," I whispered, but I was lying. Because 7 months later, I would be signing a global campaign contract worth more money than my son-in-law David made in 5 years at his corporate job. The same contract I'd deliberately leave visible on my screen during our next family dinner. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just living well, it's having the receipts to prove it. 6 months before my 60th birthday, Walter, my husband of 38 years, died unexpectedly from a heart attack. We had been planning our retirement, a small cottage by the lake, maybe traveling through Europe. All those plans vanished in a single moment on a Tuesday afternoon while he was mowing the lawn. After the funeral, after the casseroles stopped coming, after everyone returned to their lives, I was left alone in our too-big house with too many memories. Rebecca suggested I sell the house and move into a nice retirement community. She meant well, I think, but I wasn't ready to be packed away like seasonal decorations. Instead, I started taking walks. Long walks through our neighborhood downtown, anywhere my feet would carry me. On one of these walks, I passed a small tech repair shop with a sign. "Smartphone photography workshop for seniors, $25. I'd always loved photography. Walter had bought me my first real camera on our 5th anniversary, and I'd documented our life together with careful precision. After he died, I couldn't bear to look at those albums, but I still found myself framing shots in my mind as I moved through my days. The workshop was run by a college student named Zoe, with bright blue hair and infinite patience. She taught us how to use portrait mode, find good lighting, and edit basic photos. When the class ended, she offered another: social media for beginners. "You all have beautiful stories to tell," she said, "and there are platforms where people want to hear them." I signed up immediately, ignoring Rebecca's bemused text when I told her about it. "That's nice, Mom. Keep busy," she wrote, as if I'd taken up knitting or bingo. Zoe introduced us to various platforms, but it was TikTok that caught my attention. The short-form videos seemed manageable, and I was surprised to discover entire communities of older adults sharing their experiences. Some had hundreds of thousands of followers. They weren't just talking about grandchildren or gardening. They were discussing second careers, travel adventures, dating after loss, and reinvention. I created an account. Martha Starts Over. My first video was terrible. Poorly lit, awkward, my voice shaking as I introduced myself as Martha, 60 years young and figuring out what's next. 3 people liked it. One was Zoe. The other 2 were probably bots. But I kept going. Every day, I posted something. My morning coffee ritual. The cardinal that visited my bird feeder. A sunset from my porch. I talked about Walter sometimes. How I missed the way he hummed while he cooked. How strange it was to sleep on just one side of the bed after almost 4 decades. Slowly, I improved. I learned about lighting, about trending sounds, about the best times to post. My follower count crept up. 50, then 100, then 500. Rebecca thought it was cute. Mom's little hobby, she called it when talking to friends on the phone. I pretended not to hear, but each dismissal fueled something in me. A determination I hadn't felt since my 20s, when everyone said a small-town girl couldn't make it in corporate marketing. They'd been wrong then, too. 3 months in, I posted a video about my marketing career, how I'd worked my way up to senior vice president before stepping back when Max was born to help Rebecca with childcare. I talked about how women of my generation often set aside careers for family, and how I was reclaiming my voice. That video hit 10,000 views, then 50,000. By the end of the week, it had reached 300,000. The comments section filled with women sharing similar stories. Younger users expressing appreciation for the perspective. I stayed up until 2 a.m., reading every single comment, responding to as many as I could. For the first time since Walter died, I felt connected to something larger than my grief. I called Rebecca the next morning, excited to share my unexpected viral moment. "That's great, Mom," she said, distracted. I could hear her typing on her keyboard. "Listen, can I call you back? I'm swamped with this client presentation." "Of course," I said, deflating. "No problem." I hung up and stared at my phone, watching as the view count continued to climb. Rebecca might not understand what this meant to me, but thousands of strangers did. That had to count for something. Over the next few months, my account grew steadily. I developed a routine, posting consistently and engaging with my audience. I studied analytics, learned about reach and engagement rates. I collaborated with other creators my age. By month 4, I had reached 50,000 followers. That's when the first brand reached out, a company that made skincare products for mature skin. They offered me $500 to create a video featuring their moisturizer. I nearly dropped my phone. Someone wanted to pay me for this? I spent 3 days perfecting that sponsored content, terrified of disappointing both the brand and my audience. The video performed well, and the company was pleased. They asked if I'd be interested in ongoing collaboration. Just like that, my little hobby had become a source of income. More brands followed. A subscription box service for women over 50. A comfortable shoe company, a meal delivery service. Each offer was slightly larger than the last. I created a separate business email and set up a payment system. I researched standard rates for influencers with my following to ensure I wasn't undervaluing myself. I didn't tell Rebecca or David about the money. Not yet. Something held me back. Perhaps the memory of their laughter at my birthday dinner, or maybe I wanted to prove myself more definitively first. By the time my 61st birthday approached, I had 200,000 followers and was making more monthly income from brand deals than I had from my pension. I'd hired Zoe, now graduated, as my part-time assistant to help manage inquiries and edit videos. I'd converted Walter's old office into a content creation space with proper lighting and backdrops. The transformation wasn't just professional. I stood taller, spoke more confidently, bought clothes that made me feel good instead of just comfortable. I'd made friends across the country, real friends, not just internet acquaintances. Some of us had even met up in person when traveling through each other's cities. I was rebuilding a life I actually wanted, not just enduring the one left to me after Walter. The birthday dinner at Rebecca's house was a tradition I couldn't avoid, though I'd considered it. Max had begged me to come. He was now my biggest supporter, often helping me brainstorm content ideas when he visited. For him, I would endure whatever condescension came my way. I arrived early, gifts in hand. Rebecca greeted me with a distracted hug, already fretting about the roast in the oven. David was in the living room watching golf, barely looking up when I entered. Only Max bounded over with genuine enthusiasm. "Grandma, did you see you hit 210K yesterday? That collab with the silver stylist was fire," he exclaimed, using the slang that had become natural between us. David lowered his newspaper. 200 what now? Max grinned proudly. "Followers, Dad. Grandma's practically famous." Rebecca emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. "Max, let's not exaggerate. It's just social media." "Actually," I said, trying to keep my voice casual, "Max isn't exaggerating. I passed 200,000 followers last week." There was a moment of silence. I watched confusion, disbelief, and something else. Was it concern? Cross my daughter's face. That's a lot of people. I
She
had no
finally
idea
said.
it had gotten so big. David chuckled. Well, good for you, Martha. Nice to have a hobby at your age. There it was again. The dismissal. The patronizing tone that reduced my achievements to cute pastimes appropriate for an elderly woman. I bit back a retort, reminding myself that I hadn't come here to fight. It's a bit more than a hobby now, I said carefully. I've been partnering with brands. Like sponsorships? Rebecca asked, her marketing background piquing her interest despite herself. Exactly like sponsorships, I confirmed. Paid collaborations. David snorted. What? Like $50 to talk about your favorite denture cream? Max groaned. Dad, that's so lame. Grandma does premium lifestyle content. She's in the senior influencer elite tier. I couldn't help but smile at my grandson's fierce defense. He'd been learning the industry terminology alongside me, fascinated by the business aspects of content creation. Thank you, Max, I said, then turned to David. Actually, my last campaign paid 4 figures, and I have several more lined up. That got their attention. Rebecca's eyebrows shot up. 4 figures? For posting videos. For creating branded content that reaches a highly engaged audience with disposable income, I corrected. The marketing executive in me couldn't help but emerge. The 55-plus demographic controls 70% of the nation's wealth, but they're underrepresented in digital marketing. David put down his newspaper completely now. You're telling me you're making thousands of dollars posting videos about, what exactly? Life experiences, second-act careers, travel, books, sometimes skincare or fashion, I explained. My audience appreciates authentic content from someone who understands their life stage. Rebecca was looking at me differently now, with a mixture of surprise and something that might have been respect. I had no idea, Mom. Why didn't you tell us? I thought about all the times I'd tried to talk about my growing platform, only to be met with distracted nods or changed subjects. All the achievements I'd wanted to share but swallowed instead. I guess I wasn't sure you'd be interested, I said simply. An uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Max, sensing the tension, piped up. Tell them about the makeup brand, Grandma. The one that wants to fly you to New York. All eyes turned to me. Is that true? Rebecca asked. I nodded. Ageless Beauty wants me to attend their product launch next month. They're covering all expenses. I'm one of 5 influencers they've invited. That's impressive, Rebecca admitted. For the first time, she seemed to be seeing me, really seeing me, as someone separate from just her mother, someone with her own accomplishments. David, however, wasn't quite ready to concede. Well, enjoy it while it lasts, he said with a dismissive wave. These internet fads come and go. Remember Vine? Actually, Max interjected, TikTok has over 1 billion active users and isn't showing any signs of slowing down. And Grandma's diversifying across platforms anyway. I shot my grandson a grateful smile. That's right. I'm building presences on Instagram and YouTube as well. The YouTube channel is small but growing steadily. A YouTube? Rebecca echoed. Since when? About 2 months now, I replied. Longer content performs well there. I've been doing series on reinvention after loss, traveling solo as a woman my age, financial independence, topics my audience has requested. Rebecca was looking increasingly perplexed, as if trying to reconcile this new version of her mother with the one she thought she knew. I don't understand why you've kept all of this from us. I chose my words carefully. I think I needed to prove it to myself first. And after last year's birthday dinner, when you both made it clear you thought I was too old for digital success, well, I wanted to have something substantial to show before bringing it up again. Rebecca at least had the grace to look embarrassed. About that, I may have been a little dismissive. A little. Max muttered under his breath. David cleared his throat. Well, good for you, Martha. Nice little retirement income supplement. Again with the minimizing. I felt a flash of irritation but pushed it aside. Dinner smells wonderful, Rebecca, I said, changing the subject. Can I help with anything? The conversation shifted to safer topics after that. Throughout dinner, I could feel Rebecca studying me with new eyes, reassessing. David maintained his slightly condescending attitude, but it no longer bothered me as much. I knew what I had built, regardless of his validation. After dessert, a store-bought cake that paled in comparison to the elaborate ones I now featured in my baking content, my phone rang. I usually silenced it during family gatherings, but I'd forgotten after showing Max some analytics earlier. I pulled it out to switch it off and saw the name on the screen. Victoria Chen, the marketing director at Luminous Living, a luxury lifestyle brand for women over 50. "Excuse me," I said. "I need to take this. It's work." I stepped onto Rebecca's back porch, closing the door behind me. "Victoria, hello? Martha? I hope I'm not calling too late." Victoria's crisp voice came through. "We've made a decision about the Global Ageless Ambassador campaign, and I couldn't wait until tomorrow to tell you." My heart raced. I'd been in discussions with Luminous Living for weeks about a potential partnership, but I hadn't dared hope for the global campaign. That was typically reserved for celebrities or mega-influencers with millions of followers. "I'm all ears," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We want you to be the face of the campaign," Victoria said. "Your content perfectly embodies our message that life's most luminous moments can come at any age. The authenticity you bring, your production quality, and your engagement metrics are exactly what we're looking for." I gripped the porch railing for support. "I'm honored, Victoria. Truly. We'll send over the contract tomorrow. I think you'll find the compensation package quite satisfactory. We're talking 6 figures, Martha, plus travel for international shoots. Paris, Tokyo, Sydney." My legs nearly gave out. 6 figures. International travel. The validation of a major brand selecting me. Not despite my age, but because of it. "I look forward to reviewing everything," I managed to say professionally, though inside I was screaming with joy. "Wonderful. I'll have my team send the details in the morning. Happy birthday, by the way. Here's to a luminous new year." How did she know it was my birthday? I'd mentioned it in a video last week, I realized. My audience knew more about my life now than my own family did. "Thank you, Victoria. This is certainly a birthday to remember." I ended the call and stood on the porch for several minutes, letting the magnitude of what had just happened sink in. A global campaign. 6 figures. My face on advertisements worldwide. A complete reinvention at 61. When I finally composed myself and returned inside, 3 pairs of eyes turned to me questioningly. "Everything okay, Mom?" Rebecca asked. I smiled, a full, genuine smile that I couldn't have suppressed if I tried. "Better than okay. That was Luminous Living. They want me to be the face of their global campaign." Max whooped loudly. "That's huge, Grandma. They're like super premium." Rebecca's marketing background meant she instantly understood the significance. Luminous Living? The skincare and lifestyle brand? "Mom, that's incredible. They're a major player. What exactly does this entail?" David asked. And for the first time, I detected no condescension in his tone, only genuine curiosity. A year-long contract, multiple international shoots, content creation, public appearances. I paused, then added the part that would finally command his respect. And a 6-figure compensation package. The silence was deafening. David's mouth actually fell open. Rebecca looked stunned. Six figures? David finally stammered. "For posting videos? For being the face of a global brand," I corrected gently. "For reaching a demographic they value with content that resonates. For building an engaged community through consistent quality work." Rebecca stood up suddenly and came around the table, wrapping me in a tight hug that caught me by surprise. "Mom, I'm so proud of you," she whispered, and I heard the catch in her voice. "I'm sorry I didn't take this seriously." I hugged her back, feeling a knot of tension I'd been carrying for months finally begin to loosen. "Thank you, sweetheart." When she pulled away, I saw tears in her eyes. "You know what this means, right? You've officially out-earned both of us." Dad would have been so proud. The mention of Walter sent a bittersweet pang through my chest. How I wished he could have witnessed this journey. He had always been my biggest champion, always believed I could do anything I set my mind to. He would have been my biggest fan, I agreed softly, always liking and commenting, probably embarrassing me with dad jokes. Even David seemed to have undergone a transformation. The dismissive smirk was gone, replaced by something approaching admiration. "I clearly underestimated what you were building, Martha. That's extremely impressive." "Thank you, David," I said, accepting the olive branch. "It's been quite a journey." "We should celebrate," Max declared. "This is way bigger than a birthday." Rebecca nodded enthusiastically. He's right. This calls for champagne. She hurried to the kitchen and returned with a bottle she'd been saving for a special occasion. As we toasted my unexpected success, I felt a sense of completion I hadn't experienced since losing Walter. Not because I needed my family's validation, but because I wanted to share my joy with them. Success is sweeter when those you love can celebrate alongside you. Later that night, after returning home to my quiet house that no longer felt empty, I made a video. No perfect lighting, no script, just me sitting on my porch swing with tears of joy streaming down my face as I shared my news with the community that had made it all possible. Today, on my 61st birthday, I signed a global campaign with Luminous Living, I told them, my voice trembling with emotion. 1 year ago today, I was told I was too old to go viral, too old to matter in the digital space. Today I proved that life's most vibrant chapters can begin at any age. The comments flooded in immediately. Congratulations. Expressions of pride. Stories from others who had been underestimated and found their voice later in life. I fell asleep that night with my phone in my hand, surrounded by the virtual embraces of thousands who had walked this path with me. The Luminous Living campaign changed everything. My face appeared on billboards in major cities. My story was featured in magazines and news segments. My follower count exploded into the millions. Other brands came calling, and I had to hire a management team to handle the inquiries. I bought a sleek downtown condo with a dedicated studio space and kept the family home as well. I invested wisely, setting up college funds for Max and his cousins. I established a foundation to help women over 50 develop digital skills and build online businesses. Rebecca joined my team part-time, lending her marketing expertise. David referred to me as his influencer mother-in-law with genuine pride. Max started his own gaming channel with my guidance. But the most meaningful change wasn't financial or professional. It was in how I saw myself, no longer defined primarily as someone's widow, someone's mother, someone's grandmother. I was Martha Parker, digital creator, entrepreneur, advocate for reinvention at any age. A year after the campaign launched, Luminous Living hosted a gala celebration in New York. As I stood on stage sharing my journey, I spotted my family in the front row, Rebecca beaming, David recording on his phone, Max giving me a thumbs up. The most luminous part of life, I told the audience, is discovering that there are no age limits on reinvention, no expiration date on relevance, no timeline for finding your voice. The applause was thunderous, but the only validation I truly needed was the one I'd given myself. Permission to begin again after loss, to explore unknown territories, to believe that my story wasn't ending, but evolving. That night, in my hotel suite overlooking Central Park, I made a video thanking my community. A year ago, I never could have imagined standing on that stage. Your support made this possible. Every comment, every share, every time you told me to keep going when I wasn't sure I could. I paused, emotion catching in my throat. I started this journey because I needed to find purpose after losing my husband. I never expected to find a whole new family, all of you who have walked this path with me. I held up my award from the event. This belongs to all of us, to everyone who's ever been told they're too old, too late, too anything to pursue their dreams. We proved them wrong together. I set down the award and leaned closer to the camera, speaking more intimately now. If you're watching this and feeling lost, uncertain, invisible, the way I felt after Walter died, please hear me. Your story isn't over. Your most vibrant chapter might be just beginning. All it takes is the courage to turn the page. The video became my most viewed ever, 17 million views in a week. The comments section filled with stories of transformation, of people inspired to begin their own reinvention journeys. I read each one, remembering the woman I'd been just 2 years earlier, lost in grief, uncertain of her place in the world, dismissed by her own family as too old to embrace digital spaces. Now I stood at the center of a movement, proof that life's richest experiences aren't confined to youth, that wisdom and experience are valuable currency in a world that too often worships only the new. My phone rang. Rebecca calling for our morning check-in. We talked daily now. Our relationship transformed from the traditional mother-daughter dynamic to something closer to friends, equals in our respective fields. Have you seen the numbers on yesterday's video? She asked excitedly. The engagement rate is through the roof. I've been reading the comments, I told her. So many powerful stories. You've created something incredible, Mom, she said, her voice warm with pride. You've changed how people think about aging and relevance. We've created something incredible, I corrected her. This is a family business now. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony watching the city come alive below. My calendar was full. Meetings, shoots, speaking engagements. I had more purpose, more connection, more joy at 62 than I'd experienced in decades. Walter would have loved this plot twist, I thought with a smile. He always said I was full of surprises. I picked up my phone and opened the camera. Time to create today's content. Time to remind one more person that it's never too late to go viral, to matter, to begin again. Good morning, luminous souls. I began, as I did every day now. What page will we turn together today? Thank you for listening to my story. If you've enjoyed this journey of reinvention and redemption, please consider subscribing to our channel. We're so close to reaching 1,000 subscribers, a milestone that will allow us to bring you even more powerful stories of triumph, transformation, and second chances. Your subscription isn't just a click. It's an affirmation that stories like Martha's matter, that voices of all ages deserve to be heard. Hit that subscribe button now to join our community of storytellers and story lovers. Together, we're proving that the most compelling chapters of our lives can begin at any moment. Don't leave without subscribing. Your support makes these stories possible.